Hi, it's me. I just want to do a short little video, tips and tricks. This one is just going to be focusing on how to properly tune your pivot. A lot of custom makers make their own pivot, which means that they can control a whole bunch of different aspects of the dimensions, the fastener size, the thread, the length of the thread, whether or not it's 2 screws and a threaded barrel for the pivot, or if it's a captured pivot that's machined. I want to go over pivot tuning. I'm going to use this as an example because it's right in front of me right now, and fuck it, why not? So, this right there, focus, no, that is a tiny brass washer. Is itty bitty. These are found on kickstop knives. I have 2 of these currently pulled out from an OK Knives 229 kickstop, and I'm using one of them as a shim at the moment. Guess where it is? Under here. So as I was saying, custom knife makers can control a whole bunch of things. They can make their own screw head. They can choose whether or not to do collars, the thickness of the screw, the size of the tooling, but most importantly, the length of their actual pivot shaft. A lot of production knives, that pivot shaft is going to be quite short. And sometimes it's just shy of being flush when the screw is tightened down completely. And we can fix that and get perfect pivot tightness for our knife. This is a screw and a threaded shaft on this knife. Screw on both sides. Of course, I'm going to show you. There, I didn't show that in the teardown. But what this allows us to do, and you can do this on shafts that are one piece. And I'm essentially going to treat this like it's a single piece. Is I'm going to shim this space at the end of the pivot underneath the screw head to be flush with this surface here. That's the other surface that the bottom of the screw head interfaces with. And what that is going to let us do is it's going to let us tighten down both these screws without having to use Loctite and get perfect free swinging pivot action without over tightening it. And most importantly, without having to use Loctite or any kind of glue or anything. Now, which one is which? That one is that one. Now these are a little thicker than they need to be for this particular application. And all I did was, and you can see the brass still on the stone. Put it on my finger, put it on the stone, and I rubbed it back and forth. I just thinned it out a little bit, and a little bit, and a little bit. And this one is great. See? See it's great. The outside diameter of this tiny little brass washer is exactly just under 6 millimeter. That pivot is 6 millimeter. You get what I'm laying down here? Now, I can tighten this down as much as I want to, and I am not going to be able to over tighten my pivot. That's going to be rock solid with no play, no glue. You can make your own shims out of plastic. You can make your own shims out of paper. Paper is great because it doesn't compress very much. And there's all sorts of different thicknesses of paper. There's a few knives I have that I've done work to that have paper shims in certain places underneath it. In this exact scenario where I don't have the proper sized brass material or stock or a donor part. So if you're into tweaking and tuning your knives, hi, I got some tips and tricks that I'm going to be trickling out when I feel like it. See you in the next one. Bye.